I'm home. Honey? Honey. Where'd he go? Gasp! A note! A partip redact scav. Oh yeah! I can't read. Oh, it's upside down. Me and Jimbo went to bed. There's dinner in the fridge. It's your fave. Oh my gosh. Did he make me? Holographic meatloaf! My favorite! Let's see if there's anything good on. Hey! Do you want to know some cool things to do with your OC? Hey! Huh? Oh, yeah. Well, you've come to the right place. Ah! My holographic meatloaf!
This just in, the BARRON-verse. Attention all citizens of the BARRON-verse. There seems to be an unknown force that has provided some helpful tips on making your OCs less, well, boring. We received the list from this force and it was requested to be read out loud. First, redesign your OCs however you please. You can do this with any OC, whether it's old OCs you wish to forget or current OCs that don't fit your emo personalities. Also, I will be making a separate video for this, check out my channel, shameless plug, shameless plug. Anyway, I decided to use this OC, which was given to me by my dear friend Tokyo, and I will be redesigning this thing. I decided to change up his bandage, maybe he was no longer insecure and decided to change this part of him. And I also made him look more mature, as if it's like a final episode of an anime series, and overall turned his design into a more dystopian fantasy-like design. You could really flesh it out some more. For example, what if he was a huge, soft, aloof guy behind closed doors? Like, you know, hard on the outside, soft on the inside, you know, or maybe his favorite animals are cats and dogs. Those would be pretty cool. But yeah, after some magical effects, we have the final redesign. If you ask me, I think I did a pretty good job. What do y'all think, BARRON-verse? I stand corrected. But let's move on to the second one, which is making analog horror videos for your OC. Did I scare you? Well, I hope you had fun with that small little trauma-inducing video. It was, you know, my first time, and I don't know if it was done well, but I'll let the Lee fans be the judge of that. Anyway, lastly, on a lighter note, make a playlist for your OCs. For this one, I was thinking of making a playlist for my OC Marcellus. He is very spunky, extroverted, but a chill guy, so I'm gonna construct his playlist using beats I made, because YouTube's copyright system is, well, you know, there. We wouldn't want this video demonetized, would we? Clap if that was funny. Clap, and I will give each and every person here $10. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Let's begin the montage. And that concludes my part in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed these 3 cool things to do with your OCs. I had so much fun, but I think it's time to switch the channel. I'll see you guys next week on the Barronverse Broadcasting News channel. Stay tuned! Toodaloo!
Hello friends, it's Light, also known as full username lightofthedeep. And I love OCs, you love OCs, so let me show you a couple things that I personally like doing with my own OCs. Creating full body references. Whether it's a full rotation or just a simple front-on image, it's really good to be able to create full body references for your OC. By doing so, you're able to ensure that you, as well as anybody else who is curious about your OC, will be able to know what they fully look like. Full body references will also come in handy when it comes to things like providing them for commissions, art trades, looking back at, or for even drawing events just like Art Fight. Make a list of their strengths and weaknesses, or rather, see how you can make their strengths also their weaknesses. If you're aiming to make your OC a little bit realistic or curious to give some character flaws to your OC, a great thing to do is to include a list of strengths and weaknesses. This helps provide a little bit of the limitations of what your character can or can't do. I'll show examples of the main characters in my webtoon, Keiko and Mamoru. Keiko's strengths include her optimism and courage, but her strengths are also her weaknesses, in which her tendencies to take responsibility shuts herself out from accepting help from other people. Mamoru's strengths are being a defensive type of person, both in battle as well as personality-wise. He's very empathetic and understanding of others, but this can also be seen as a weakness, in which more often than not, he's unable to speak up for himself or defend himself. The dynamic I've created for Keiko and Mamoru as protagonists are of them working well together, but when conflict arises, they can maybe be each other's worst enemies, passively. Take that with what you will. Give them voice claims. I love voice claims. Voice claims are basically how you envision your character to sound like. There are lots of talented voice actors and actresses who have voice characters that may sound similar to how you envision your OC. Not that the voice actor is your character, but their voice is similar or exact to how you would have envisioned your character's voice being, if they were to be in their own show. For example, Keiko and Mamoru's story is set to be in an anime type universe, hence I have Japanese voice claims for them.
もうこんな街嫌やこんな人生嫌や来世は東京のイケメン男子にしてください
分かってんだけどさそれでも俺が撮れてたらなって思っただけ
But that's all for me. Hopefully these suggestions would help. Thank you for having me, Lee, and until next time.
Hello, it looks like I'm not on my channel today. I was graciously invited by lifeofliii to participate in their video about OCs. So hi, I am Shimobits, a content creator on YouTube, very small, mostly an artist. I also stream on Twitch as well. I play games, I draw, whatever. Nice to meet everybody. Today I have 3 points to talk about with OCs. First of all, using your OC as a doll. And by that I mean dressing them up, right? So for me, on Pinterest mostly, I'll be scrolling and looking around and I'll see cute outfits to put my girl in. My girl being Shimo, this lovely Oni. I will post some of my outfit examples here. One of them was for when the Barbie movie came out. I decided to dress her up in a cute little outfit if she were going to the movies. So I thought that was cool. The second one I did was a Queen inspired outfit. It actually then inspired my first ever VTuber design that I did, which we'll talk about later as one of my points. And then lastly, it was the infamous strawberry dress. That is adorable. Literally, I was talking to a college friend and he was like, she would look cute in a strawberry dress. And he was right. So I drew in it. You know, these are things that you can do for fun or for a challenge or whatever, but it's definitely something that gets your brain flowing with. Especially when you don't know what to draw. Heck, draw your OCs and outfits. I think that's very fair. My next point is make a VTuber out of them. I will post a little bit of a clip here of my VTuber moving. I did mention I stream, and so I made my OC Shimo into a VTuber. I figured that made the most sense. I think her design fits as one. And typically when people make VTubers, they're a little bit more fantastical and like out of the norm. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that. This isn't the first iteration of her either, but this is my most recent one. I like it a lot. Again, takes a lot of work and time, however, just as a disclaimer, or you could pay someone to make a model, which is typical. I totally understand that. But yeah, if you ever want to start streaming and you don't want to show your face like me and you have a character already, why not make a VTuber or a PNG tuber? Both count. And lastly, play around with different variations, such as different species, opposite sex, etc. I have not played with the opposite species all that much, just so you know she's an Oni. However, I did draw her as a guy, as she is a girl, so I'll post that here. I definitely did that on a whim, but in my mind, I always had a thought of what he would look like. I named him Shiro, by the way. He's kind of cute, I know. But I always had an idea of what he would look like in my mind, but I never got around to drawing it. But finally I did, and my whole community loved it. Again, it is just something fun to explore, you know, some different things with your character that's already been established in your mind, but it's like, okay, let me try to expand and see what they would look like as, you know, like I said, a different species or a different animal or a different gender or whatever. Yeah, but thank you so much, lifeofliii, for inviting me to this video, and let's move on to the next artist.
Hello, it's me, MofuBunsArt here, and I tend to draw and yap about my OCs. But you guys are not in for that. You don't have to exactly always have art-related things with your OCs. You can just do some fun things. Like, I did a tier list just yapping about my OCs. Like, I made like little icons for them. I mean, if you don't want to make icons, which is an art-required thing, you can just like get some pre-made art you did of them and just use that as icons. And it works the same way. And you just tier rank your OCs. Next, I love physical media. So like, I love having or collecting merch of my OCs. I don't know why. I guess it's probably because I'm the only one technically in the fandom. So I have to provide for the fandom, the non-existent one in my head. Now, this does require a little bit of money. I do know. I do understand. But no. I also understand that you can just create your own merch. Yeah, I'm talking to you, person who's watching this video right now. You can create your own merch. Stickers, created. Little plushies, created. That's actually only if you are really into like arts and crafts, maybe you could do that, but you can still do it, you know? But if you also happen to, you know, have a little spare change, you can also just get your OCs commissioned without you having to lift a finger. But I love my OCs, and so I decided to splurge on them, alright? I mean, like, look at this adorable commission from an artist I got. This is a plushie that I commissioned someone to create for my OCs, and they're so cute. Like, look how goofy and dumb he looks. Look at him. I may be going a little off tangent sometimes. I apologize. I have one more thing in case you guys, you know, want to hear me yap a little bit more. But you can make your OCs into a background thing, like for your phone. I do it as well with art I made previously, and I just put it as my background. And that's another thing you can do with your OCs. You can like decorate your home screen with just your characters, and you can have like different background modes for like how you're feeling. Like if you're feeling this one character, you just have your background set as them. I don't know how to transition this to the next person. I'm sending this over to the next guy.
Hello, how are you? I'm Chamomile, or Christine, or number one spaghetti fan, or whatever you want to call me. As long as it's not late for dinner. I'm a Filipino-American comic artist, illustrator, writer, character designer, and cursed image connoisseur, as well as the one-man production crew behind A Cup of Chamomile. I post videos about art and other shenanigans every other Friday, and I also have a fantasy action webcomic that you can find on Webtoon Canvas and Tapas as of writing that will hopefully update soon. Anyway, that's not why I'm here. What are some cool things to do with your OCs? Making art of your own OCs is great. Who doesn't love it? But if you're also enthusiastic about comics and stories in general like I am, then there's an even cooler thing you can do. Make comics featuring your OCs. They can be serious, they can be silly, they can delve into a character's backstory, or act as a prequel to the story they're in where applicable. Or you can also embrace chaos and just send them to a completely different dimension. For example, if your OCs live in a fantasy world, then you can send them to Earth, or space, or something, I don't know. For anyone who may not be as experienced in making comics, there's a few rules to keep in mind. When putting the squares or other shapes that you need together to make a comic page, it's important to keep everything as readable as possible while making things interesting through things like varying camera angles. The reader should also be able to understand what's going on in some capacity without having to rely on word balloons if you choose to put them in your comic. There's a bunch of other things to remember in order to avoid confusion, but it would take me ages to talk about them all. That, and I also have gone in depth on the subject in a video I did last year if you want to know more about comic making. Shameless plug time! But let's say you have an OC that isn't fully fleshed out yet. Or maybe you might have a backstory, personality, design, and some form of character arc for them, but you still want to put in something else. People usually have hobbies, some sort of life event that happened to them, or some habit or mannerism that sets them apart from everyone else, and you can also apply these to your characters. Do they have a favorite hobby or pastime? Are they such a terrible cook that they have the rare and unfortunate power to make someone violently ill with their cooking? Can they lift up to 10 times their own body weight? Somehow? If you think it suits your character or would make a silly juxtaposition to how they present themselves, then don't hesitate to include it as a silly little trivia fact about them. Maybe put it in their character sheet or make a document about your characters to put those trivia tidbits in. The possibilities as to what you can include as fun facts are endless. If you have multiple OCs and you want to better visualize what they would look like side by side, then you can do a height chart. Bonus points if those multiple OCs are in the same story, but in my opinion it's not a requirement. This can help you spot any similarities you may not have been aware of previously that you may want to fix, like having two characters be too similar in appearance or height to name a couple of things. Unless they're twins or something, that's fine too. And it's also fun to compare and contrast your characters with one another. For the record, you don't necessarily have to make a height chart if you want to put your characters together. You could do something like a group drawing or something like a group selfie too. And if all of that fails, then you can always throw them into the risotto. Okay, no, not really. Unless... haha, just kidding. Unless... Anyway, you can ignore that. But tasty food aside, those are all of my suggestions. Hopefully this gives you some insight on some of the things you can do with your OCs. Let's now move on to the next artist.
Greetings everyone, my name's Snowy, happy to be here. So kind of Lee to invite me here, hoping I don't disappoint for my very first collab on the platform. I have 3 different ideas in mind for things to do with your characters, all of which I have either done or I am still doing. The first is making AUs of your OCs. If you don't know what an AU is, it basically just means alternate universe. Essentially just a concept of what your OCs would be like if certain things did or didn't happen. What if your characters were evil, or what if your evil character was good? What if that one traumatizing event never happened to them? What if they were all pigeons or something? Can be literally anything you want. I personally enjoy role reversal or swapped AUs, since they can change the relationships characters have with each other in ways that are really fun to play around with, like little paper dolls. Speaking of character relationships, try making a relationship chart of all your characters. You could just draw it on paper or in your drawing program, or use a separate app like Milanote to map it out. Thankfully, Milanote is free to use and has several templates for writers and artists to use, including one specifically made for mapping character relationships. Or go the extra mile and make a physical chart that looks a bit too much like a conspiracy board. Go crazy. It can also help you think more about how your characters would realistically interact with each other, whether they're close friends or one is the source of all your main Blorbos trauma. I also like to color the arrows according to what a certain character feels about another, with a key explaining what each color means. Makes things a little more interesting when you see just a sliver of hatred or romantic feelings in one direction but not the other. Lastly, this one's my personal favorite. If you have any scrap pieces of fabric and even basic sewing knowledge, try making a little ragdoll of your character. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a silly cute little plushie of your character that you can do whatever you want with. From little photo shoots of them living their best life, to trapping them in a block of ice in the back of your freezer for their crimes. There's plenty of free patterns and guides on the internet for making your own plushies, and again, you don't have to worry about making them perfect. In fact, it's way more charming to see something so handmade, and you'll probably get pretty good at it anyway if you do it enough. For example, here's an old ragdoll I made of my boy Kagero a few years back. I made him solely for the purpose of being thrown out the wall because he's a stupid idiot, man. I made this one of one of my new Murder Drones characters recently, and he gets treated like royalty. Look at him, thriving, flourishing, not moisturized because he's a robot and that would be bad. I also made this one. Banished. That's all from me though. Of course, leave a comment if you try any of these. Maybe tag me on Twitter or Blue Sky if you make a silly ragdoll of your Blorbos. Only if you want to, of course. Anyways, I'll be passing this on to the next artist. Goodbye!
Heyskiis Gooblins! The first thing I've got to offer you is to interview your OCs. Business tired.
Well, where am I?
I'm doing the questioning here, Bricks. None of that yip yap, alright?
Well,
okay, question 1. Why do you want to work at McDonald's?
well, food?
Food, you say? Questioning or talking to your OCs as yourself can be so much fun. You know everything about them and everyone else. You can probe their deepest secrets from them, even though you already know what they are. When it comes to other OCs interacting with each other, either character may not know as much as you, their amazing creator, does about the other. So, in any case, having your OCs answering these burning questions about themselves in their own way can be super fun, and you have so much to learn about the way they express themselves in this little sandboxy reality where you, basically an all-powerful being, are in it. It's an alternative to AI chat generators, and you can have free reign. Get creative, make a whole story if you must. Next on the list, 3D model your OCs. I used Blender growing up to make Roblox GFXs and short animations, so I've got a bit of knowledge on use, but I wouldn't say that Blender is the most beginner friendly in the book. So of course there's other free 3D apps to use that are even compatible with mobile as well. YouTube is filled with amazing step-by-step videos to help you successfully model your OCs. I'm not gonna lie, this project took forever, and if you asked me how long it took, I wouldn't tell you. You know why? Because it was embarrassing. But hey, practice makes perfect. This is my first try, and honestly, I'm a little happy with how it came out. I was able to get these cool pics, cool animation, and it was pretty fun to do. Alongside the struggle of making it, and all the mistakes, and the many times I forgot to record, and yeah, so fun. Anyways, this turned out so cute. The last thing I have to share is turning your OC into a digital individual locked behind your computer. Oh, sorry guys, wrong script. Turning your OC into a desktop pet or Shimeji. This is a must. Look how cute! Just like Blender, making a virtual pet requires a bit of tutorialing around, but it's an absolute beauty when it all comes together. Just look, what a cutie! That doesn't mean I'm still not gonna beat you up and make you go through obstacles and horrors for character development, Jeb. And it looks like I was last but not least. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. And thank you so much, all you guys who helped me work on this video. Please, Gooblin Army, you guys know what to do. Check out all of these amazing creators and drop some love their way. If it weren't for them, this video wouldn't exist. Each and every one of them have super cool and unique content, but you won't know that unless you check them out. So go, skadoodle! All their channels are tagged in the description. This collaboration has been in the works for about a couple months now. Being able to work with other artists has been so fun. So I really appreciate these guys. So you guys really have to check them out. Honestly, they're super sweet and super cool. Anyways guys, thanks for watching and have an amazing day. Bye bye. Don't forget to check out their channels.